Hello, my name's Hemingway Jones, and welcome to a very special episode. Today, we're looking at the Conway Stewart Churchill Honey Noire lever fill fountain pen. This is an extraordinary pen with some very interesting features. I think you're going to want to stick around for this entire video. Now, I should mention that Conway Stewart sent me this pen to review. I can keep it. I don't have to send it back. So that's important, but they had nothing to do with the editorial content. So this is all my opinion. So let's take a look at the film and learn all about this extraordinary fountain pen. By all accounts, it had been a pleasant, uncharacteristically hot day in London for September. People were outside, shoppers in Piccadilly, many strolling through Hyde Park. Even when the sirens sounded, many people assumed it was a false alarm. They had heard sirens before, but this time, it was different. When I opened the package, I gasped. It was like unveiling an artifact, like Howard Carter aiming his torch into the darkness of King Tutankhamun's tomb. The gold glistened. The yellow and black tortoise pattern in marble resin reflected with a pearl-like brilliance. I could hardly believe what I was seeing. It was as if it had been sealed away for 80 years. Okay. Where is the time machine? How were you able to pull this off? The Conway Stewart Churchill Honey Noire lever fill fountain pen is a revelation. I have had many fountain pens and rarely has one made such an impression on me. The question became, would writing with it live up to its dramatic visual impact? First, let's take a look at the history of this venerable pen brand. Conway Stewart and Company was founded in 1905 by Mr. Frank Jarvis and Mr. Thomas Garner at 13 Paternoster Row in London, just next to St. Paul's Cathedral. They became one of the leading purveyors of fine writing instruments, as evidenced by the many fine examples in the vintage market. As Prime Minister, Winston Churchill used self-filling stylos from Conway Stewart that the company patriotically pieced together from old parts and had lying around. He wouldn't want to disappoint the PM. Apparently, he thanked them with an unsigned photo of himself. By the 1950s, the company was under duress, as the world's taste in pens was changing and pens were now seen as more of a disposable item. In the 1960s, the company was sold and moved to Wales, and persevered through the 1990s and into the 2000s, until 2014 when the company went into administration. Fortunately, the company was resurrected by Bespoke British Pens Limited. They bought all of the remaining stock of pens and all the technical drawings. The company strengthened its ties with the Churchill family and now produced exquisite pens at a fair price for all their unique features, as we will discover. I appreciate that they have a direct link to their past. Conway Stewart pens have also been featured prominently in films, including one of my favorites, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The pen is indeed mightier than the sword. Also in Kingsman, which is one of the ultimate films for fine men's accessories. And let's not forget Darkest Hour, in Gary Oldman's Oscar-winning performance as Winston Churchill. The bombs began to fall at tea time, the evening of September 7th, 1940. Winston Churchill was at Chequers, the country retreat for the Prime Minister, with members of his war cabinet. The bombers arrived in 3 waves. The first consisted of 348 heavy bombers and 617 fighter escorts. These planes met little resistance, since the RAF were guarding military targets. But these planes were targeting London. The bombs were devastating. By nightfall, it was the fires that guided the next 2 waves to their targets. These bombings would last 57 days. This Conway Stewart fountain pen has an incredibly accurate vintage look. The marbled acrylic resin is strikingly beautiful. It's very reflective in pearl-like flakes of honey color that float suspended in the resin, and this pen is full of tremendous depth. It's also translucent. You can see the 18-karat gold nib beneath. This pen has quite a bit of girth, with only a slight taper toward the end of its barrel. There is a hallmarked 9-karat solid gold band near the base of the cap. Additional solid gold bands accentuate the design of the pen at strategic places. I especially like the series of grooves at the top of the cap. The gold lever and large gold clip each have an engraved CS on its widest surface. The end of the clip has a ball for catching on fabric, similar to the one on the Pilot Custom 823. The overall effect is stunning. It looks like a museum piece. It is the first pen that I've owned that I was a bit hesitant to write with at first. It was just that beautiful. However, keeping this pen in a case would be a crime. It was meant to write, to be used. It also feels larger than its overall length of 145 millimeters closed and its diameter of around 14 millimeters. It is quite long when posted, and I feel that this is a pen best left unposted for better balance. It feels lighter than its 35 grams. The fit and finish of each part is perfect. It's amazing that it's a handmade pen. Each ring is tight, the nib is perfectly placed. Each gold surface was glistening and unscratched. Perfection. Similar to vintage pens, the barrel is engraved with Conway Stewart Churchill, the serial number, and Made in England. This pen uses a lever fill system that is extremely rare in a modern fountain pen. I've always liked lever fills for their charm, the quickness of their filling, and the reliability and longevity of their use. Since there is a rubber sac inside, I would recommend staying away from caustic inks, but of course, I recommend that anyway. The nib of the pen is 18-karat gold with an iridium tip, and it is quite long at nearly 25 millimeters by my measurement. The tines are very long and elegant, have a bit of spring if you have a heavier hand. These nibs come in extra fine, medium, and broad. They can also be ordered in stub, italic, oblique, or calligraphy nibs. There is also a personalized nib service available where you can have a nib ground to your precise specifications, or submit a video of yourself holding your pen and writing with it so they can analyze the different angles and actions in your writing style. Each nib is decorated in the Jewelry Quarter in Birmingham with the CS logo and Conway Stewart. This is a traditional home of pen nib manufacturing in the UK for over 200 years. The nib size is also engraved on there, medium in this case, and a confirmation of its gold content, 18 karat, 750. All of their nibs are hand-assembled in England by John Soroka, a famous nibsmith. This ensures perfect alignment and flow. Each pen is also tested to ensure quality. This is surprising in a pen that cost £510 or around 613 US dollars as I record this. It is well appreciated for excellent QC. By morning, the devastation was evident. Many residents were surprised to find London still there. By morning also, Churchill and his entourage arrived in London to tour the devastation and to do so as visibly as possible, to project calm, to express their support, and to show that the government was still there. Churchill was aware of the power of symbolic acts, projecting strength through the destruction, but even as crowds surrounded him to greet him, he wept openly. Eric Larson in The Splendid and the Vile said, in one hand he held a large white handkerchief with which he mopped his eyes. In his other he grasped the handle of his walking stick. You see, he really cares, he's crying, a woman said close to him. Others shouted their encouragement. Go get him, Winnie. Could he have served as a better symbol of a grieving country in that moment? Propped up on his walking stick, full of resolve for the struggle ahead, and overwhelmed by the strength of the people of London that he encountered, and as his wife Clementine Churchill would suggest, because their continued spirit, in turn, encouraged him. So how is this pen to write with? Well, writing with this pen is an absolute joy. The nib is elegant and has a very light touch. The feed has a generous flow that is perfectly balanced. The width tends toward the narrower end of the medium range. It glides along the page with alacrity, with a wonderful precision, and with a line variation that's based on minuscule changes in pressure and angle. It also has nice feedback, where you can feel a touch of the fibers in the paper, but you're not held back by any of them. It also makes a very satisfying scribing noise as you cross your T's or draw long dramatic lines or swirls. This puts a certain meter into your writing as the nib glides and dips along. The balance is perfect in my hand unposted. It's too long and too back heavy when posted for me. I rather like seeing the strikingly beautiful cap on the desk in front of me as I write. I feel that my handwriting has a vintage look when I use this pen, but maybe I'm being seduced by the look and the feel of this pen in all its perfect vintageness. If I am, then I never want to break this spell. This is a pen that will inspire you to write. You will look for reasons to use it. You may take up journaling or lengthy correspondences with friends. You may begin writing your grocery lists, taking actual notes at work. You may want to write a long love letter to your spouse and sign it with a flourish. Winston Churchill had the grit and courage that I so admire. Those who realize the dire results of inaction, who know they must act, who know that their path ahead is dangerous, who are full of fear, sadness, and great anxiety, while bearing the weight of purpose, of the consequences of their decisions, and the immense pressure of it all. And yet, they persevere because they must. This is what makes a hero. It isn't blindly stumbling ahead without concern for danger or without fear for making a wrong choice. It is shouldering the burden of dread, living with the anxiety, feeling the trepidation of making a disastrous choice, yet calming the inner voices of self-doubt while remaining true to your moral center. This is what makes a person, any person, a hero. This pen, in no small way, reminds me of this. Through its decade-long connection with Winston Churchill, through its classic design, the attention to detail, this is a pen for trying times, a pen for staying motivated and productive through whatever it is that you pursue. This is a pen that reminds you, even through the turbulent times, that you can take joy in simple things like the act of writing. And you can find beauty there, and perhaps a bit of fortitude as you make your way through the journey of your life. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have bringing it to you. What do you think of the Conway Stewart fountain pen? Do you love it as much as I do? Let me know in the comments. Also, I have a membership available for the channel. I'd love to see you back in the member section so you can join there. Also, if you would, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you've been watching my channel, I'd certainly appreciate if you'd subscribe to it. Thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see each other again further up the road.